9:31. Okay, good morning, everyone. We'll call the November 10th, 2022 West Elgin Council meeting to order at 9:31, and we have the adoption of the agenda and recommendation that West Elgin Council hereby adopts the agenda as presented. Mover and seconder, please. Rowe and Cameron, all in favor? That is carried. Certainly reminder to disclose any pecuniary interest. First item up is public meeting, correct?
Yes, we need to recess council and proceed into the Committee of Adjustment pursuant to Section 45 of the Planning Act.
Okay, you have a resolution.
So that council hereby recesses and proceeds into the Committee of Adjustment pursuant to Section 45 of the Planning Act at 9:32 a.m.
Mover and seconder. Tellier and Leatham, all in favor? That is carried. Okay.
So you are the chair of, yeah.
Okay, so we'll call the meeting order to order. You have a recommendation, Madam Clerk?
Yeah, that West Elgin Committee of Adjustment hereby convenes at 9:32 a.m. to consider an application for minor variance for lands owned by RVI Development, Inc. located at 196 Ridge Street, West Lorne.
Mover and seconder, please. Rowe and Tellier, all in favor? That is carried.
So we need to adopt the agenda of Committee of Adjustment, so that Committee of Adjustment for the municipality of West Elgin hereby adopt the agenda for November 10th, 2022 as presented.
Mover and seconder, Leatham and Cameron, all in favor? Carried.
So that Committee of Adjustment hereby approves the minutes of the meeting of the Committee of Adjustment held on July 21st, 2022 as circulated and printed.
Mover and seconder, Cameron and Rowe, all in favor? Carried.
So the purpose of this public meeting of the West Elgin Committee of Adjustment is to allow the presentation of an application for a minor variance and to allow interested members of the public an opportunity to ask questions or offer comments with regards to the application. The application is to provide relief from the zoning bylaw 2015-36 to increase lot coverage from 35% to 49% for the approved development of 22 townhouse dwelling units and relief to permit the encroachment of up to 3 meters into the required side yard for the covered unenclosed porches. Written comments must be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer of the committee, and any persons on this meeting who wish to comment on this application should do so by using the raise your hand function in Zoom when the call is put forward for public comments, and the Secretary Treasurer will permit you to speak. When it is your turn to speak, please state your name before speaking. If any member of the public would like to be notified in writing of the Committee of Adjustment's decision on this particular application, they are to provide their name and mailing address to the Secretary Treasurer by email at clerk@westelgin.net no later than 4 p.m. on today, the day of the hearing. This will entitle you to be advised of possible Ontario Land Tribunal hearings in the event the decision on this application is appealed. Notice was sent by a regular mail on October 26, 2022 to the property owners within 60 meters or 200 feet of the subject property and to all agencies requiring notice.
Okay, does anybody have any pecuniary interest regarding this matter? Seeing none, good morning, Robert.
Morning, Mr. Mayor, members of council.
Yes, you have a report for council on this application.
I do, your worship. I will go through this briefly. The property in question, council will be obviously familiar with this, came to them earlier in 2022 for the approval of zoning bylaw amendment to permit a 22 unit townhouse development. There's a total of 4 buildings that are proposed on the property, 2 6-unit townhouses and 2 5-unit townhouses. The lot itself is oriented off of Ridge Street specifically. The address is 196. The last step in the process was submission of site plan approval, and that began a number of weeks ago. What part of that review process involves is reviewing the drawings and making sure that all of the applicable zoning standards are met. And in doing so, it was realized that there was a couple of items that for some reason had not been entirely addressed. The applicant had submitted a zoning bylaw amendment request that had a total of 4 provisions that needed to be adjusted in the zoning. The one was the was the side yard setback along both the north and south lot lines on the property. And then the front yard setback, again, because the lot's oriented off a Ridge Street, the front of it is actually the front of the lot technically in the bylaw is Ridge Street, but the townhouses are being proposed to be oriented off of a private road that will extend off of Ridge Street. Both of those items were addressed in the amending bylaw. However, they had also requested an increase in lot coverage from the standard 35% in the R3 zone to 49% to accommodate a more compact development and allow for both covered patios on the front and the back of the development. You can kind of see those in the elevations here. Shows the front of the building along the private drive, and then the covered porches in the back. These are unenclosed. There's just a couple of support posts and then a roof over the patio that leads to a patio door and then into each individual unit. In reviewing this with the applicant, we noted these concerns and said that the best way to approach this would be a minor variance. This would address the lot coverage. They'd also requested elimination of the amenity space requirement. However, after reviewing it with them, it was discovered that was not actually required. They do meet the minimum requirement for amenity space. But the more we reviewed this, the more we started to come up with some issues that had to be addressed. And the one was these covered patios on the back. In the bylaw, it does allow for a certain amount of encroachment for covered porches, patios, and so forth into rear yards and front yards. The problem is, again, because of the orientation of the lot, I'm going to keep going back to this. This is not a rear yard. This is a side yard, and there is no provisions for projections of covered porches into the side yard. So that was something else that needed to be addressed, and why the variance was brought forward to the committee to address both of these items to move the development forward. I would note that the development that's being shown to council today has not changed significantly from what was presented. The lot coverage on this was actually 49% when it was presented to council. It wasn't noted at that time, but it was based on the drawings that were submitted with the zoning amendment. The covered porch item, though, that did come up later in the review process for site plan approval. I've gone through and assessed this under the 4 tests under minor variance. It can be considered minor. Townhouse developments quite often do have higher lot coverages simply because they're trying to provide a more compact form. This is very consistent with provincial and county policy in terms of intensification, using less land to provide residential accommodations. This is something that's not very prevalent in the Rodney and West Lorne area. And certainly is something that's needed to mix up the housing stock and provide greater variety for the residents. There was some circulations that were sent out. There was no concerns expressed by the outside agencies or by the internal departments. I had conversations with a couple of folks, neighbors on Elm Street, and did provide some follow-up information. The drawings that I've presented here to council were forwarded to at least one property owner that wanted a little greater detail on what the porches were going to look like and what the actual setbacks were going to be. I haven't had any further feedback from them on that. They may be here today in the meeting, but unless there's questions of council or questions of the public, if I go off and do this incorrectly, please let me know. Either I'm reading the recommendation or the clerk's reading the recommendation.
I'll read the recommendation. Once we get to that point, we still need to receive comments from the applicant and from the public.
Okay, thank you, Robert.
So we do have the applicant and his representative on. If either of you wish to make any comments, please use the raise your hand function and I'll let you speak. Mr. Langley, go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, council and members of the committee. My name is Christopher Langley from Batory Planning and Management. I am the representative for the applicant or the planner for the applicant on the file, RFI Development Inc. I coincide with what Robert was saying in terms of the application not having any major amendments since the initial application was presented before council earlier this year, and pretty much it's the changes that are being made are just to make sure that the drawings are compatible with the ones that were approved by the original bylaw as well. So that's essentially, if there's any questions, we'd be more than happy to answer them, and that's essentially it.
We did not have any written comments.
No, sir.
Okay, thank you for that.
If
do we-
anyone else would like to speak, this is the time now. Please use the raise your hand function and I will permit you to speak. So that's my first call. My second call, any members of the public on the meeting wish to speak to this application? And we'll give it one more call. Does not seem like we have any comments. Okay, so we can move on to comments and questions from the committee.
Council?
Oh, we're committee, not
Or
council.
committee, that's right. Any comments, questions from the committee? Seeing none,
Are we ready to move on to the decision?
I think we can render a decision.
So the recommendation from the planner is that West Elgin Committee of Adjustment grant minor variance D 1303-2022 by obtaining relief from section 10.1.1, table 10.1, item 3 that limits lot coverage to 35%. And this new proposed lot coverage would be 49%. And section 4.291F to permit an encroachment of up to 3 meters into the required side yard for a covered unenclosed porch.
Okay, you've all heard that. Are you moving that, Councilor Cameron? Moved by Cameron, seconded by Rowe. Any more discussion? All in favor? That is carried.
Okay, so we are now at adjournment of Committee of Adjustment at 9:43 a.m. The West Elgin Committee of Adjustment hereby closes the public meeting held pursuant to section 45 of the Planning Act at 9:43 a.m. and reconvenes in open council.
Over and seconder, Cameron and Tallier, all in favor? And that is carried.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Guess we don't need to do anything to get back into
No,
open session.
we reconvened.
You have anything more for us, Robert? I guess you can.
I do not, Mr. Mayor. We are good.
Okay, are you in the office today?
I am not. I'm
okay.
at my remote office.
Okay, thank you. All right, back into our regular council meeting, and we have next motion, the adoption of the minutes. Recommendation, Madam Clerk.
That the minutes of the council meeting on October 20, 2022 be adopted as circulated and printed.
Mover and seconder, Rowe and Tallier, all in favor? And that's carried. Any business arising from those minutes? Seeing none, consent agenda, resolution.
Does anyone have anything they wanted pulled from the consent agenda? Oh, okay. So that West Elgin Council hereby receives and files the consent agenda as presented.
Mover, oh,
Oh.
I didn't realize that 7.2.2,
Yes.
we could discuss that. Sorry, if we could discuss the
So
Enbridge
we'll remove
gas rates.
that to, and that we will put that under items considered for discussion.
okay,
So, so receives and filed the consent agenda with note 7.2.2. Okay, you good with that? I need a move and seconder for that.
mover and seconder, moved by Rowe, seconded by Tallier, all in favor? That's carried. Okay, we're going to go down to staff reports, correct? Or are we?
Yeah,
gonna do-
would you like to move to consider the items considered discussion? We can do that
Okay,
first.
we can do that first. We'll discuss the Enbridge gas rate increase
I guess my only question was, will this have impact on our gas budget for next year? Kind of impact that might have, just.
What do you think, Magnus? I think it's gonna cost us more money. Let's just put it that
It's
way.
gonna cost us more money. As far as impact, it depends. It depends. There is so many different variations. It depends on the season. You know, if it's a warm winter, the consumption is significantly lower. If it's a cold winter, then you know it's basically the natural gas usage is used for our municipalities to heat our buildings. So recreation center, municipal building, and the arena, which there's not much consumption at the arena. It's just so it's hard to tell at this point, but it will impact us.
And just noted that there was a public hearing to consider the application. Didn't know whether it was going to be a huge impact and we would want to have a comment there, but it's difficult to tell.
I don't know whether are our gas prices tied to a world market. That's certainly when you take a look at what's going on in Europe. Scary over there. So, or what are your thoughts, Magda? Are you going to build a little extra into our gas budget?
Definitely, we always budget increase based on cost of living allowance. So because especially with gas, you know, this is something that you can't really precisely budget as it fluctuates so much. But we will be, our rule of thumb will be 5% increase across the board for all operating expenses.
That will unfortunately be, we'll be fortunate if we can keep that to that level, because certainly, as we all know, things certainly have gone up in price dramatically. So Magda will try to keep our next year's operating costs to, as we always do, to the bare minimum. Anybody else want to comment on that? Do you feel we should go to?
Obviously, we're a small municipality, using gas for our public buildings, so it could have a larger impact than perhaps a larger municipality, but just wanted to get your opinion on that.
Do we? Oh, yes.
Through the chair, Magda, does the extra tax that's been added onto those bills obviously plays a significant role in the increase that's on that? Through the chair, is maybe a letter written to a particular level in regards to the extra tax that's on the heating worthwhile being written? Maybe help with some of that cost increase? Just a thought.
I think that the carbon tax is affecting everybody.
It's affecting operating costs across the
Yeah.
board. I'm sure that's part of the reason for the 5% price increase you're experiencing in operating costs, because transportation goes up and services go up. And I'm sure that that's probably part of it. I'm seeing it myself being a business owner. So it's just a thought to put to the chair if that's something he wants to pen and perhaps maybe set off to the other level of government.
Why don't
Something I'm
we
thinking about.
why don't we send an appropriate letter off to the county and see if we can move it up at least to the western wardens.
Something, push it up the chain, make a bigger voice.
Yep. Alrighty. Any other action? You don't need a resolution for that, the staff direction? No, just send it to the county and then we'll move it up with county endorsement. Yeah, but we're just making it.
Okay, ask the
Notice.
county to notice
Yeah.
it, okay.
Have you seen what's happened in New Brunswick with diesel fuel?
Yes, I have. That was my thought of just trying to make a bigger voice.
Yeah. Okay, that will move on to staff reports.
So the first report is the report for the accomplishments during the 2018 to 2022 council term. Has anyone got questions, want to review it or?
Certainly, I think that for those members that are leaving, a lot was accomplished over the last 4 years, especially when we had to do it in the fog of a pandemic. So certainly, I would just like to say to this council, I think that we moved the ball forward quite a little bit, and certainly to the staff to be able to do that during the pandemic. Testament of the fact that we've got a good group here. Anybody else want to, Bonnie?
I just wanted to thank staff for this report. It was really good to read it, and you always seem to think about the things that you didn't get done, but it's good to see, the things that were accomplished. So appreciate that.
Any other comments from council? Okay, we'll
So just the West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Magda Badura, CIO Treasurer, and Janet Othercott Clerk, reaccomplishments during the 2018-2022 council term.
mover and seconder, moved by Rowe, seconded by Tallier, all in favor? Carried. The to-do list never ends. Next item up, organizational review update.
Does anybody have any questions first? It's been 3 years since proceeded with organizational review. A lot of things, most of it we were able to complete. There is still some of the steps, some of the items, it's not something that can be done immediately. It requires an ongoing process, ongoing improvements, and so we're gonna try our best to, from HR point of view, to improve employee relations. Some of the stuff is ongoing. We are constantly reviewing policies, job descriptions. Some of the stuff we were able to put to bed and eliminate. One of the examples is our efficiencies improvement in payroll, like that has been working well. We're still working on training the staff, so there is always backup, and there is no impacts on employees' pay, because in the end, that payroll still has to be submitted by somebody. So, ongoing training, ongoing improvements, that will never come to an end. As for the organizational structure, yes, we did make a lot of changes, but the 3-year period was a period of trial and error. And I think for certain positions and certain structure, we know what worked, what didn't work. There will be report coming to new council with changes to the organizational structure as well. So that's coming in the new year. And well, bylaw enforcement, we have been very lucky, because we were at, there was always, we're looking for a great bylaw employee. Unfortunately, we were unable to recruit one. Luckily, there was a company that was interested servicing our municipality. It's been working great. you know, we have developed a great relationship with the company and the owners. GIS mapping with the county, it's still ongoing project. We're still working on that with them. The only item that was kind of left and in limbo was the trailer park, and that will be discussed in the upcoming year. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Bonnie?
Yeah, I think, you know, from my perspective as a first-time counselor, it seemed like there were a lot of organizational changes. And I think that we did follow the advice, the very excellent advice of our consultant in a lot of respects. The one thing that I just wanted to highlight was communication, which I understand for, you know, all the jobs that I've been in my life, it's always the main issue of internal and external communication. And I can't really comment so much on internal communication, but certainly our communication out to the public has, I feel, you know, taken some big steps, you know, in terms of the electronic signs and the social media presence, and particularly the website, which I think now looks, with the addition of the photos from our consultant, it looks very professional. So I just wanted to make those highlights.
Yes.
Through the chair, yeah, when you're speaking, I think you said ongoing about a dozen times, and I like, that's the vision, that's the wonderful thing that HR gave us, is it's ongoing, it's a fluid document, we're always working on it. And it was just so great that we worked through everything so to a T, getting everything that wasn't always done, wasn't a full picture, and getting that to where it needs to be, staff, documents, everything. So I think to everybody to get us to where we need to be and to ongoing, like you said, thanks.
I think one of the biggest thing is taking advantage of the ability through the modernization grant to move things over to computers tracking more information, that it's not being done manually. And so I think there's certainly long-term savings of that. And I think that the data that you get is much better than what we've had in the past. And certainly that's something that the last meeting with the Minister of Municipal Affairs, it was a discussion with all the mayors in Elgin County that is one of the grant lines that we encourage the province to continue on with, is making those funds available for municipalities to upgrade their software, their technology, their ability to data generation. So hopefully that they will listen to that. And but short of that, one of the things that I did notice on the report is what things actually with a check mark that were accomplished. I didn't notice that. Maybe I missed that.
Basically, all 35 have been touched on.
Okay, that's good.
Maybe I think there's about 3 that we just haven't completed, maybe.
Okay, well, that was what was the final bit of the piece that I was wondering was there anything there that hadn't been touched on or hadn't been completed? No. But if all of the recommendations have are in process or are being worked on, I guess that's a good job. Okay, short, any more conversation regarding that report? If not, we have a recommendation, Madam Clerk.
The West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Magda Badura, CIO Treasurer, and Janet Nethercott Clerk, reorganizational review update for information purposes.
Mover and seconder, please. Moved by Taillé and seconded by Lethan. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay, the committee and board reports, reports from council, from committees. Anyone have any committee wish to update council on? Being none, consideration of items regarding discussion, notice of motion. Oh, inquiries and announcements. I guess
Yes,
I-
we,
all right.
we are, yes, we're on there, yeah.
All right, notice of motion. Anybody have a notice of motion? Yes,
Can I back up, please? Through the chair.
you bet.
I
We're
didn't,
good at that.
I did have a note here that I'll raise in terms of committee reports that Port Glasgow Trail Apart met on October the 21st. Staff updated the committee on a number of items that will be completed over the course of the time when the park's closed: tree trimming, plumbing, electrical upgrade, and the rec hall. There was a discussion about one-way parking on one of the back areas of the park where they had raised the request to do that, but it appears that there's quite a varied opinion on that, and so they asked that that be discussed at the spring meeting. So those are the things that
just going back onto that, I congratulate you, Bonnie, for one of their members did make some comments, and I thought, here we go, and I could recommend that. I was really pleased the way you handled it. Otherwise, you could have set him alight. I know that, and he was totally in the wrong. And I congratulate you for the way you treated it. Thank you.
Not her first rodeo. Anything else? Okay, notice of motion. I see none. Statements and inquiries by councilors. Nobody have anything to say? All right, anybody have a matter of urgency? No matters of urgency. Okay, acknowledgement of the final council meeting. Here we sit 4 years later. Fair number of accomplishments. I guess from the mayor's perspective, I want to thank this council. I've told many people over the last 4 years that this has probably been one of the best councils I've ever had to work with. People come prepared, they had their agendas read, they had good questions. And I think the main thing that there was a respect from each and every member of this council to someone else's opinion. Everyone was ready to listen to that opinion, and at the end of the day, I think that as a group, I think we serviced the municipality to the very best that we possibly could. So thank you to all of you, and to those of you that are retiring from municipal councils. I don't think that we'll see you just right off into the sunset. I know that you're good community people, and you'll be involved in a lot of other issues that are happening within the community, and certainly feel that you are still part of the family here, because it would be an absolute crime to waste your experience and your involvement over the last 4 years. So hopefully that you'll continue on as a resource for the new council when there's something that they need a bit of assistance with, or a consultation with, that you guys will be there at the end of the phone for a phone call. So thank you very, very much for all you've done, and on behalf of the residents of West Elgin, I have to say, good job. Magda, do you want to say anything?
I would like to express my sincere thank you to you, Mayor McPhail, Deputy Mayor Leatham, Councillor Rowe, Councillor Tellier, and Councillor Kamer. It's been clear to me right from the beginning that the reason why you became council members is because of the love for this community, and you took your role seriously. You have sacrificed a lot in service for this community. You do what you believe is right. Individually and as a group, you have protected our small municipality and made it better. Over the last 4 years, you made difficult decisions that impacted our community on topics ranging from police, fire protection, budget, taxes, road maintenance, homelessness, land use, water quality, sewers, utility rates, and a lot more. You supported very much needed changes in our organization to keep up with the changing environment. With your great support and with the support of staff, I can proudly say that West Elgin set the standards for collaboration, cooperation, and making good decisions. You attended council meetings, committee meetings, hearings, public meetings, public events, and you had to prepare for all of them. Your typical council packet was at least 200 pages. And I am certain that you didn't do it for money or recognition. For those of you leaving, you will be sorely missed, but at the same time, you earned your break. Please continue to give us the benefit of your wisdom and experience. To those who are returning, thank you for the willingness to serve and what you're about to undertake. You're truly dedicated to duty and service, but not to your personal gain. You have shown that you share many common values, and you have shown that you come together for the common good. Thank you all for your support over the last 4 years. Thank you. You will be missed.
Okay, before we get all teary here. Anything you want to add, Lee? You can be sitting down there growing a mustache and not say it.
The fire chief thought this was a great idea, and then he's not the one around to take the heat for it, so. No, I guess just to reiterate what Magda said, I mean, this last 4 years in my time here at West Elgin has been the most challenging by far, with everything that's gone on, pandemic, organizational changes. There were some really hard decisions that had to be made, and there was always that great benefit for us as staff, knowing that you as council was behind us in those decisions. So I thank you.
I just gotta finish up with Jana and then the staff. I'm saving you guys for the last here. Okay, Jana?
I'm kind of speechless, which is odd for me. But I guess like the other two have said it so eloquently, but yeah, I want to thank you guys for all of your support over the last 4 years. It's been quite the time, and hopefully you guys were all great to work with, inquisitive, wanted to know. I loved being able to share some of my crazy 21-year geeky knowledge of municipalities with you guys, and doing research for you guys. You always appreciated the amount of work staff put into everything. And I know for me, you're my first council as a full-fledged clerk, and I thank you for all your support and guidance throughout this year, because you have made this term, you have made a lot of hard decisions and lived through a period of time that no one else has, and had to survive and pivot. And I know a lot of you weren't super technologically, knowledgeable before, but we've all pivoted into, a new world of online meetings and things like that. And you went along with the flow and learned and dealt with it easily. So thank you.
Okay. Sure.
I'd just like to thank all council and staff, really, for putting up with me over the last 4 years. It's been a hard 4 years, and I know that you just carried on just as normal and did the work. I beat cancer twice and had chemo for 12 months and just come off COVID now. And so I know that maybe I didn't do what I was really planning over this last 4 years, but I know that you guys have stood behind me and done and helped me out as best you could. all I can say is thank you. I appreciate it and I won't forget it in a hurry.
Okay. Which one of the angels is going to speak now?
I'll go first.
All right.
Yeah, I did write some notes because I didn't want to forget any details, but you know, I do want to start by expressing my appreciation to the staff. You're great at providing assistance to us counselors and me in particular for the last 4 years. The background knowledge that you have, all of you, all of the staff, really, anybody that you run into on the street, so very friendly, willing to provide information, and it was really appreciated. I want to thank the rest of the council too for helping make this first time experience with municipal politics really valuable and enjoyable. I feel personally that this council has worked very well together. I hear stories about councils that don't. And so I was very happy to see that this council listens to one another and considers varied opinions and is respectful despite, you know, emotion being involved sometimes. So I think that this council has been you know, very diligent in considering all of the information that we have available and making the best decisions that we could. And I can't not mention that it really has been helpful to have an experienced mayor leading us, and I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to a few less meetings, a few I say, because I do have some other irons in the fire, as you guys know. I will be continuing my volunteer activities in the community and enjoying hopefully a little bit more family time. But I do want to say thank you, and I want to wish the new council good luck. You will have a difficult 4 years, I'm sure, but you will come through it with a healthy community. I know that. Thank you.
Angela.
Bonnie just took a lot of my talking points, so I will repeat a lot of them. But yeah, I concur a lot of what Bonnie said, and to staff, it's all started, I guess, with speed dating in our orientation, which then led to many more questions that I rolled into my term. And it didn't go unnoticed when staff returned my phone calls and emails late at night or on weekends. And to staff's family, I send out either an apology or a thank you for allowing them to call me back at those times. Even knowing some of those phone calls, we were both enjoying a drink on the other end of that phone because the days had been horrible. So it wasn't always easy. And I agree with Bonnie that this council, we have all done our best to make the best decisions possible for West Elgin and, you know, put our personal differences aside. And I have seen even some neighboring municipalities that have not got along in the chamber. So we've done the best possible here. So even though I am leaving this particular seat, I am not officially leaving politics, as the mayor is very much aware of what I have stepped into. So I will have a few less meetings, but I might be sitting at a little bit of a different table and on the other side of the table. So I'm sure you will continue to see me. I will remain a community partner, so you can always reach out to me, and I'm here to help you guys in any way, shape, or form that I can with, you know, my advocacy in any way, shape, and form. So I look forward to continue with working with you from the other side. So.
Guess I have to say something now. I guess I'm going back into 4 more years, 2026. Working with a great council and going into working with a new great council. So I very much enjoyed working with the staff. Everyone is super patient when I have questions and then more questions and then more clarifying questions, and no question did they make me ever feel was silly or dumb, even when I ask something or get the road wrong when I email Lee late at night about a hydrant that isn't even on that road because I got the road wrong. But yeah, So everyone's been super patient and informative and lending their expertise to us during these 4 years. And the patience was most evident during the pandemic, when we all had to pivot and learn and evolve from all that. So looking forward to another 4 years with Duncan, Richard, Bill, and Michelle. So it will be challenging, yes, but it will be good. And once again, West Elgin will do the best we can for our residents.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna final it up for the two that are leaving. I think that the great band, the Eagles, summed it up very well with their song Hotel California that said that you can check out anytime you want, but you can never leave. So I think you guys will find that out. So
I'm not exactly sure that's what that song meant.
well, I think it sums it up pretty well for here. You know. Mhm. Okay, well, I guess we're down to two of the last things that we've got here on our agenda for today. And first up is the confirming bylaw.
So the bylaw 2022-66 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular meeting of council held on November 10th, 2022, be read a first, second, and third and final time.
Mover and seconder, please. Moved by Taille and seconded by Cameron. And we're down to you're all
Adjournment.
in favor. See, I don't want to call the vote on any of these two. We're down to adjournment and the recommendation, please.
So that council of the municipality of West Elgin hereby adjourn at 10:17 a.m. to meet again at 7 p.m. on November 17th, 2022 for the inaugural meeting of the 2022-2026 council term.
I think Angela and Bonnie should
Move in second.
move in second.
Okay. Angela and Bonnie, and been moved and seconded, all in favor. It's carried. Thank you very much, everyone, and I'm gonna be sad the rest of the day.
From municipality of West Elgin
Oh.
staff. Please accept this as
Thank
a
you.
small token of our appreciation.
Oh, well, that's very nice.